We have arrived in the incredible city of Tokyo, the biggest city on earth, and this video is going to take us through Tokyo on a bus tour of some of the most visited tourist spots, and eventually out of Tokyo into the Japanese countryside. Our tour starts at Hamamatsucho, where Shane Keller and myself have climbed on the bus that's going to take us on our tour today.
We are going to Tokyo Tower to get a general view of Tokyo. Then after that, we will go to tea ceremony.
Our first stop is at Tokyo Tower, which bears a little bit of resemblance to the Eiffel Tower, and an elevator takes us up to the observation deck. This isn't actually the highest observation tower in Tokyo. The highest is Tokyo Skytree, which you see in the background here. The Tokyo Skytree is actually the highest observation tower in the world, and this in itself is quite a feat because Japan experiences quite a lot of earthquakes and therefore doesn't tend to build many skyscrapers. Even without the crazy skyscrapers we saw in Shanghai, Tokyo is extremely densely populated with just under 40 million people packed into one city. It's an absolutely crazy place. After heading down the tower and climbing back into the bus, we move on to our next stop, which was a garden in the middle of Tokyo with waterfalls and trees. You'd almost never guess that you're in the city. It seems like this is a popular place for weddings. We actually saw a number of weddings while we were there, but we had something else on our agenda: tea. I wasn't allowed to film anything at the tea ceremony, but basically we drank some traditional tea made by a very special looking lady. We got an opportunity to walk around the garden a bit afterwards, and I'm glad I got to do this because it wasn't just beautiful, but it gave me insight into what this place must have looked like before the huge city was built. Our next stop was another garden in a different part of the city. Again, just really beautiful, and the plan was to have a traditional Japanese meal. The chef cooked our meal for us on a piece of volcanic rock from Mount Fuji, and I really enjoyed this meal, particularly the meat. Let me tell you guys, the Japanese know a thing or two about quality meat. The Imperial Palace Plaza is probably one of the most well-kept public areas I've ever seen. The grass, the trees, the statues of great samurais. It's clear that both the people and the government care a lot about their city and keeping it well maintained. We couldn't see the Imperial Palace itself, but got some good views of central Tokyo, and that's where we'll be passing through next. This was probably one of my favorite parts of the tour. I love boat tours, and the Sumida River provides awesome views of the city from a different perspective. I particularly enjoyed seeing some of the engineering and the architecture. As our tour for the day drew to an end, it was back on the metro and all the way back to Shibuya. It doesn't look far on a map, but this was about 45 minutes of travel. This city is huge. The best part though was arriving back at Shibuya in the darkness and being able to see all the neon lights and famous tourist spots like the statue of Hachiko, the Shibuya crossing, which is the busiest pedestrian crossing on earth, and all the little bars and pubs where people were enjoying the Rugby World Cup. It's maybe a bit busy for my liking, but I'm glad I got to see it. So we have checked out of our hotel this morning, but we've got some time before our train leaves for the other town we have to go to at like 3 p.m. from Shinjuku. So we're kind of just exploring the surrounding areas around Shibuya at the moment. And this is a really cool park. It's just literally one stop away on the train from Shibuya. I think it's called Yoyogi Park or something like that. And it's like a proper rainforest. It's really, really cool. So it's a nice place to kind of get out of the city for just a few minutes and explore a little bit. But in a few hours we'll be off to something totally different. You know, we've seen the big cities, but it's time to get out of the big cities and explore something a little bit different. Should be good. I was hoping to be able to experience the famous Shinkansen bullet train while in Japan, but unfortunately only got to ride a regional express train. Nevertheless, we got to see 3 hours of Japanese countryside, which was awesome. Seeing how hilly and mountainous the countryside is, it makes a lot of sense that Japan is a heavily urbanized country. I think it must be almost impossible to build out here in the hills, and pretty much every piece of flat land seemed to already have a house on it. We eventually arrived at our destination, a quiet little town in the mountains that was a welcome relief from the busyness of Tokyo. Our hotel was right on the edge of the lake, so we had some nice open views for a change, but after another long day, we were pretty keen to hit the hay. The next day we spent a little bit of time exploring some touristy spots around the town. Not that there was much to see here, but it was nice to get outdoors and do something. We were lucky to have good weather. This time of the year it can be terribly humid, but it was a pretty pleasant day and we made the most of the day before climbing back on the train and heading back to Tokyo once again. It was our last night in Japan, so Shane and I decided to make the most of it. We met up with our mutual friend Ryan, who showed us around Shinjuku, where we were staying, and took us out for another incredible meal. Man, I tell you, I will come back to Japan again just for the meat. It is that good. But sadly, this trip has to come to an end, and just before I went to bed, I was able to capture one last clip of the Tokyo skyline at night. What an adventure this was. And that brings our Asian adventure to an end, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I had an absolute blast making it, although I probably would have liked to put a little bit more effort into the filming side of it. I was with Shane and we were wanting to not be antisocial, so I did the best that I could. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm heading back to South Africa now. Within a few days I'll be back on a plane again to the USA, so it's a busy life I have, but I'm doing my best to share it with you. Cheers guys, see you next time.